Alright, so we made it out here with the clear gun, no magazine, nothing in the chamber. We're going to go ahead and decock. We're going to run this drill dry for right now. Starting with an outside the waistband holster. This current holster here doesn't have any retention devices on it, but again, we will address holsters that do. So the first step in presentation from the holster would be to get as good of a firing grip on the gun as you can. My hand comes down nice and high into the tang of the gun, and my support fingers of my primary hand come tucked as high underneath the trigger guard as I can get, so that when I draw that gun, I'm not making any unnecessary adjustments if possible. When I establish my grip on the firearm, I want to defeat any retention devices on the holster that I may have. The next step would be to pull the gun straight up out of the holster. I don't want to be rotating the gun or dragging the gun forward or backward. I simply pull straight up out of the holster, and once my muzzle has cleared the top of my holster, I'm going to orient the gun towards the target. Okay, right now my target being down in front of me there, this is the direction of orientation. From here I want to extend up through the ready position, and my hands will find themselves in that space as I extend out towards the target to touch and press the trigger. So let's back up here and go over this again. Step one would be to get as good of a grip on the gun as you can, nice and high on the back strap of the gun. Come straight up out of the holster and orient the gun towards the threat. Extend through the ready position, establish that grip somewhere in that time, touch and press the trigger. Let's touch on one of the specificities of drawing from the holster that I feel is often overlooked, and that's the orientation of the muzzle towards the threat. Now right now we've moved ourselves so that my target is down there. If you want to go ahead and take a look, it's off to the right hand side of me. So what I can't do is grip the gun, come up out of the holster, and orient towards the threat in this position if my threat's not here. I certainly don't want to condition myself to always draw from the holster in a squared up or straight out fashion and get myself into a position like this or through the extension where I need to turn and then go to the target. That becomes inefficient, and it doesn't really work that way because you could be sweeping over a lot of other people, causing safety concerns. So, depending on the orientation of you and your target or your threat, what you're going to do is almost the same. You're going to get that grip on the firearm and come straight up out of the holster. From here, I orient towards my threat, which happens to be that way. As I extend out, I might have the ability to turn and square myself to the target, establishing a good two-handed grip. Or in a defensive situation, you could be in some type of a spot where you're holding a loved one behind you, or you're trying to get to safety or get out of a door. So this hand might not be able to come to the gun right away, and you simply have to extend out and drive the gun with one hand and put rounds into that target that way. So those are some considerations to take into account when you're doing your own holster training. Is don't always condition yourself to shoot from a squared up stationary position. The drawing portion is the same thing for concealed carry. The only additional piece is you need to remove any concealment garments out of the way, being a t-shirt if you're running inside the waistband, or a jacket or a vest or sweatshirt if you're carrying outside the waistband, depending on your environment. What you need to do is remove any of those concealment garments out of the way, then establish as good of a shooting grip as you can, come straight up out of the holster, orient towards the threat, and extend through the ready position, and shoot the target. Recovering to the holster is the next thing we're going to talk about here. It's never a race back to the holster in a gunfight or in a defensive situation. So take your time, take a breath, and good trigger finger discipline is incredibly crucial when you're recovering to the holster, especially inside the waistband, but it applies to all holsters. So recovering to the holster, slowly, smoothly find the muzzle inside the holster, keep that trigger finger away from the trigger, and slide the holster down and give it a good firm press. With a retention holster, you can hear the gun snap into place, maybe tug up a little bit and see what's going on. With a retention system like the Safariland ALS, you rotate that hood back into place, maybe apply some pressure to make sure that everything's locked into place. But again, it's never a race back to the holster. So that should be done very slowly and Keep any concealment garments or anything out of the way of that trigger guard. Keep your finger away from the trigger and the trigger guard. There it is, guys. Drawing from a holster with both inside and outside the waistband rigs, concealment garments, and retention versus non-retention holsters. I encourage you to go out and train safely under responsible professional supervision. If you're new to holster work, you're apprehensive about it, seek out a good professional to walk you through this stuff. And also make good gear selections, understand the limitations, get it adjusted for you, and maintain your safety as well as choose safe gear. Always train safe, guys. We appreciate you watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Leave a comment down below of what you think of our presentation from the holster drill. If you have any additional training or gear requests that you'd like us to do for you, leave a comment down below and we'll get it done for you. We'll see you next time, guys. We never quit.